Welcome back to Awaken Your Spirit. Here we are, another week with us. Today is going to be a little bit interesting for you. It's a question that most of my clients ask, and also a lot of people ask that question. Why are we afraid of death? What is the fear in death? Why do we see death as a challenge? Well, let me tell you today, I'm going to tell you a few stories, but also I'm going to tell you one thing. Death has no pain. Death has freedom, has peace, has love, has warmth. If you had a chance to watch any movies or any documentary regarding people that had near-death experience, myself, I did experience this long time ago. I can tell you I was about 19 years old and I was giving birth to my first son. And what happened is it was a very complicated delivery, and I don't remember anything. The only thing I remember is finding myself in this beautiful warm light. And I can see my grandparents, I can see my cousins that had passed away very, very young. And they all were standing in this beautiful light. But the only thing is I could see myself and I could see my son. And at that point, I said, no, I need to be back in my body. I need to be there for my son. And I'm going to tell you, this is almost 40 years ago. So my son is still alive, I'm still alive. And I think I had that experience so I can come back and explain to people death has no pain whatsoever. The confusion that we have, or the fear that we have about death, is the suffering before passing. Death itself, it's a freedom of our spirit, freedom of the physical body, freedom of the attachment on earth. And therefore, when we let our spirit go into this beautiful warm light, actually we feel free, we feel light, we feel the love on the other side. But we also have, for the living, for the people that they are here, we do have a job to help our loved ones that they're about to cross over. I'm going to share my story, but this is the only thing that it's concrete for me that I can really talk about it. Example, I lost my parents. My father was 58 years old when he passed, and it's almost 19 years ago. And my mom was a little bit older. She was 72. My father was too young, so for the family it was a little bit hard to accept that he's leaving. And he actually, due to a surgery that caused him to actually pass early. But it's his time. Nobody goes before their time, that's for sure. So one day I was sitting at work and I can feel the agony of my father's soul, and his spirit is struggling in that body, because his body was just it was finished. He couldn't, his heart was finished, his organ were finished. They was just keeping him alive because they didn't know what to do really. So I took time off and I went that day, and I sat next to my dad and I held his hand. Unfortunately, he could not talk because of the tube that he had and everything else, but I can connect with him on a spiritual level. I can feel him in my heart. And I looked in his eyes and I said, Dad, I know that you cannot talk to me, but just give me a sign with your eyes if you do hear me. And I asked him, I said, you're not happy being in that body right now? And his answer was no. But I think because it was too quick and he knew he was going to leave, he was stuck. His spirit was stuck in that body, but he also was, a part of him was on the other side with his parents and his siblings and all of that. So I looked at him and I said, I know that you want to leave that body. So leave it. Don't worry about it. And if you have anything that you want to do, you want to say, anything that you want me to do, let me know. Well, I'm going to tell you something. It took 24 hours for my father's spirit to leave that body that he didn't need. And the next day, I felt his freedom in my heart, and I knew that he was happy. About a month, I will say, I can't remember, it's been 19 years already, Actually, he came in my dreams, which is not a dream. When you dream about a loved one, it's an actual visit. They are with you in that moment. So his spirit did come to me, and he told me exactly what he wanted me to do. And it was, regarding the family, regarding my siblings and my mom. And as years goes by, he directed me, or he guided me to do whatever he needed to do, because his spirit is already free. So we can assist our loved ones to cross over. We can help them to cross over. We can actually give them permission to leave that body. And this is something that we need to do. And if we do understand that death is not the end. Death, it's the beginning of another life. But I also do understand that the physical separation, it could be very hard for us here on earth. Why? Because we don't get to hold them, we don't get to kiss them, we don't get to be there physically. But believe it or not, just having them in our dreams, you can have the same feeling. You feel their warmth, you feel their love, because the spirit never dies, the body dies. I tell everybody, look at your body as a car that you buy. You go to the dealer and you choose the color and you choose the car that you want. Then you put yourself in the car and you drive. Well, your body is the same tool, if you want, for your spirit to be able to move here on earth. And that's why after using that body for so many years, well, there's no use for it. So we have to let it go. And when we cross over, where there's a whole other life that waits for us, we get to see what we did on earth. We get to see what good and what bad that we have conquered during our journey on earth. And from that moment on, our growth on the other side starts, and we start planning for the next time to come around. So imagine that you never die. You're always living, except we live in a different dimension. And every time we cross over, we're actually building another life on the other side. So we do have a part of us that's always going to be in the light. And when we're here on earth, this is our connection. Our soul will connect with our spirit will connect with our soul, and will connect with the big energy, which you want to call it the light, the creator, the divine. This light is in every one of us and everything around us. Everything living has energy, has a spirit, has an attachment. So rest assured that death is not just the end, it's another beginning. When people say, will I suffer in death? No. But before death, that all depends on each one of us. What have you done in your life? What was your path? What did you choose to do? It's all questions that we need to ask ourselves. And if we do ask ourselves this on a daily basis, we're going to think before we speak. We're going to think before we act. We're going to think before we hurt somebody else. We're going to think about the person that sleeps on the street that have no home. We're going to think about the person that goes to bed without having dinner. We're going to think about the injustice that happened. And therefore, we're going to have a role in life. Every one of us need to do something to change this world. Whatever your destiny, whatever your path is, ask for it. That's why the spirits on the other side, the guides, the angels, they're all around us. But if we don't invite them into our energy, guess what? They're going to be just standing there waiting for us to say, I need you. I want help. So it's up to us to invite them into our lives. It's exactly like if I'm going to visit you, and here I am knocking on your door and knocking on your door, and you know I'm there, but you're not opening the door for me. So there's no way that I can enter your home or be part of your life. When our loved ones crosses over, they become our guides. Like for my parents' example, if you have parents that have crossed over, they're always around. They're always there to help us. We had a connection on earth as children and parents. Well, just doesn't disappear because they wait. They wait until everybody in their circle had crossed over and they all gather again. And we talk about how we live together. Do we want to come back to earth with the same with the same people, which we do, but in different relationships. So when your soul crosses over, you say, okay, next time, I think I'm going to become your mother instead of you were my mother, or I'm going to become your father instead of you becoming my father, because there's something to learn every time that we are here. So invite your loved ones, invite your guides, invite your angels. If you don't know what to do, wait for their answers. Everything is always around us. And if you are afraid of really what death is, think about this big white light, the warmth, the sun, how nice and warm the sun. That's exactly it. You know, when it's a nice bright day outside and the sun is warm and you're just sitting, laying, feeling that heat, well, the other side is exactly the same thing. You feel the peace within. What's the suffering? The suffering is the sickness before death. And this can linger for many years. And I've seen people that they holding on to this sick body or this life because they're so terrified to cross over. When it came to my mom was, first of all, she, in her mind, that once you die, you're going to go into this black hole where your spirit is just going to be lost. And even if I was her daughter, she didn't believe in my gift. Now she does. Now that she's on the other side, and now that she saw and lived what I have told her for many years, actually she came to me and she said, yes, she's not dead on the other side. And actually when I see my mother, she's all young, all the disease, everything that had she suffered before she crossed over, it's all disappeared. And another thing too, I have to let you know that we're all young on the other side. We're all between 30 and 33, believe it or not, but this is how our energy come across. So I'm going to go back to my mother and how afraid she was. My mom died with cancer, and for 2 years, I watched her deteriorate. I watched her body deteriorate. But because of her fear, she's blocking. She was afraid to cross over. So in her last couple of months, when we used to go and visit her, we'd be sitting in a room, but we were not alone in that room. Her parents were there, her cousin, everybody on the other side that had crossed, they were all around her. Everybody was waiting for her. And this is how you get to know that the spirit is about to cross over. It's when we're so sick and we sleep and we wake up and all of a sudden we're looking for our loved ones because we saw them. They're waiting for us. So Mom she was in a coma, in and out. And every time she wakes up, the last period, she would say, did you see your grandmother? Your grandmother was just here. And when she started talking like that, I knew that they were trying to get her over. They were trying to release her spirit from that pain. So death has no pain, sickness does. Sickness has pain, has suffering. And this is also according to our action. What have we done? This is what our sickness is going to be. Either you like it or not, I don't want to say we pay, but we acknowledge the good things and the bad things we do in life. And according to our action, our sickness kicks in. If we can understand that we can actually prepare ourselves for the next life, we will think about our action, our thoughts, our words with others, and that's actually gonna give us a relief. It's gonna help us to cross over with less pain, with less suffering, and with less sickness. So, but also a soul that struggled to cross over, it could be two things. The person that is dying, it's afraid to cross over. And don't forget, religion has a lot to do with our thinking, how we see death, how we deal with death. If you see everywhere, it doesn't matter what kind of a religion people practice, but it's always saying, if you don't live by that rule, or if you don't live by that law, well, once you cross over, you're going to be burning in hell and your body's going to be toasted. And so, well, of course, when we hear this, I mean, I grew up with the same mentality, don't get me wrong, but know what I know today, I know that there is no hell, there is no hell and heaven and all these things that they're trying to feed us. It doesn't really exist. The hell that we're going to live, it's our action. It's when we cross over, believe it or not, there is a period where we call the purgatory period, which is your spirit gonna sit and literally you're gonna see your life as you're watching a movie. So for everything that you have done to others, good or bad, you're gonna see it. If it's good, your spirit is gonna grow and is gonna feel comfortable. But if you have hurt somebody, and especially if predetermined that I'm going to hurt this person because whatever reason you have, well, in that moment, your spirit is going to suffer because you're going to see the suffering that you cause to others. So in that moment, your spirit is going to suffer. And that's what we call hell. But the Creator, the light, the divine never really interfere because our spirit was given to us and we have it in a free will. You can come back to earth if you want to. If you don't want to come back to earth, you can stay. You can become a guide. You can become, it's our choice really. So we do come back many, many, many times. If some of you like to read, there is a book actually, I read it many years ago, and it really changed my perspective about a lot of things. And it's called Conversation with God. If you read that book, you'll understand that we all have God within. We all have this light within. And we can actually listen to that light if we allow it to speak to us. So your spirit comes back many times. And in that book, this is how he explained and how he realized that it's not the first time that he is here on earth. If you like to see something else about reincarnation, how we come back, there is a documentary on YouTube, and it's called The Boy That Lived Before. And Google this, and I really recommend for you to watch it because it explains to you how our role change as we come back. Earlier I said we choose to come back. We'll always come back in the same circle of people that we started our journey with. But the relationship will change, the role will change. Example, in this life, I was the daughter of my mother. Well, next time, maybe she become my daughter, or will become my wife, or she become my husband, because we do change the body that we want to come in. So we have the choice. We have the choice of setting up. We do set our life up before actually we come, with the good and the bad. So when people say to me, why God is punishing me? God doesn't punish anybody. Actually, we do that to ourselves. So if you can understand the concept of what our role is and how we are the master of our life, we are the creator of our life, it's going to be much easier to deal with everything. And understanding that everything happens, it happened for a reason. It's because we need to move from one area to another. People that they are afraid of death, they don't cross over fast. But also, as the person that is dying, afraid, it could be somebody else in the family. Example, when my mom was sick, she had a friend, and she was so worried that what's going to happen to her friend when she dies. So that she had this in the back of her mind, and also her children, and especially my brother. He's the last of the siblings, and she was worried about these two people. But also, these two people were holding her spirit here from crossing over. So I approached both of them, and I said, if you really truly love this woman, you have to let her go. The first reaction I get, what are you talking about? I'm not holding her. No, you are. You are, because you don't want to let her go, because you know that you're going to miss the touch, you're going to miss the hug, you're going to miss the conversation. And therefore, it's the physical part that we cannot let go. But if we understand that even if the physical part is gone, there's always the spiritual part, that there's always going to be a connection with them. So you have to think, when you have a loved one in your family, it's about to cross over. I really recommend for you that you gather the family and you ask them, if anybody holding on to that person, please let them go, because you're causing them more suffering for them to stay here. And if they are afraid, comfort them, take their hands and tell them, don't worry, you are meeting your loved ones. Like with my mother, to help her actually cross over and stop the suffering, we told her, all her daughters, they said, Mom, you are meeting your mother again. You're going to be with grandma. You're going to be with grandpa. And you should see the light all of a sudden that actually brightened her eyes. And she was like, would I see them again? Of course you will see them again. They're just waiting for you. So when we start talking to Mom like that, and when she starts seeing her parents and her loved ones on the other side, slowly but surely she started to let go. And within a week, her soul was in rest, and she joined everybody. And actually, not long after her passing, she visited her 4 children to let us know that she was okay. And the amazing thing is, the spirit is so free that it can be in different places at the same time. I'm going to tell you why. And this is how we get to learn. I learn every day. I can never say that I know everything, because I learn something every day. And that day that I saw my mother in my dreams, but she was visiting, I was so excited that the next day I called my sister to find out that Mom was with my sister, to find out that she was with my other sister and my brother. So she was with all her children at the same time, in the same moment. So she did share her love, just to say. And when we saw her, she wasn't sick anymore. She was all whole. She became whole again, and she became beautiful again. And this is how they are on the other side. And believe it or not, they do everything we do here, except it's not tangible. Here we can touch. We have the body. This has to do with the material. Just like the sofa I'm sitting on, just like the plant I have. This is all material. This is just the physical part of us. When we say we come in 3 dimension, we do come in 3 dimension, because we have the physical body, then we have the spirit and the energy that flow into this body, but we also have our soul with the big light, with the creator, with the divine. So we're all here to experience what life is and what's death is, what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. And if we repeat the same mistake, we're always going to come back in the same spot. That means your spirit is never going to advance, is never going to grow. And even in this life, if you have the same thing happening to you all the time, stop. Think, look at your life. What I'm doing, I'm repeating the same thing, I'm repeating the same pattern. And that's why people get stuck and people don't move on. Take the time every day to invite your guides, to invite your angel, to invite your loved ones that they are on the other side. They are here to help us. They're always around. You're never alone. I'm never alone. We are never alone. Now with our digital and our technology, actually we have cameras that can actually show orbs. If you ever take pictures and there is a white circle in your picture, rest assured that this is a spirit. And you're going to see this in gathering. When everybody gather in a family, even the spirits from the other side, they gather with us. When we have a celebration, they celebrate with us. When we have a funeral, they are there with us too. So you're never alone. And if you think that you're alone, then it's just, it's your imagination, because you're never alone. So please, if you have anybody that is suffering, or if you have anybody that afraid of death, talk to them. tell them that this is not it, this is not the end, it's the beginning of another life. And religion, well, religion was there to control people, to put fear. It's the best way I can put it. If you want to control a population, if you want to control a person, put fear in their heart. The more afraid they are, the more control you have over them. And unfortunately, that's what religion had come here to do for us. At the beginning, it wasn't meant to be like this. And at the beginning also, the two worlds were not supposed to be separated. What I say the two worlds, the physical world and the spirit world. The two of them used to be very much synchronized together. But with religion and power and money, what have the universe, what have we done is we separated. We start putting veils over veils over veils until the veils are so thick. Now, with the new generation, and we couldn't talk like this 50 years ago, now we are. And now what we're doing is we're dropping the veils one by one. So now the separation between the physical and the spiritual world is becoming thin. And as we advance in this, we're actually going to see them. We used to see them all the time walking around because they're still here. They're not. And once you cross over and you are in the light and you did what you need to do, you are free to visit. It's like, how can I say this? It's like somebody in prison and finally they get the release. And that's what happened. So when you have your freedom, you can go anywhere you want. You can do anything you want. And this is what the Spirit do. Now they are free. They are in the light. They can visit. They can help. They can talk. They can guide. The only thing is we need to ask them. I tell all my clients one thing. Ask, you should receive. You don't ask, you're never going to receive anything. So help your loved ones, cut their suffering. If you really don't want to see somebody suffer, tell them it's okay. It's okay to let go. It's okay to let go of this material world. And it's okay to welcome the angels and our loved ones on the other side. And pray. Pray helps a lot too. And ask for guidance, you will receive it. So with that, I'm going to close the session for today. And I hope that you did get something out of it. And like I said, we're always open for any other subject that you would like for us to bring to you. Or if you have any questions, you please do send me this on www.moonlightmedium.com. And I can't wait to hear from you. Take care. God bless. Thank you.